Hi there. This is Coach Kathy, and I've had one of these discussions that I've been rolling over and over in my head, and I see so much in the media. I just thought I'd have the discussion out loud. You may be offended, you may not, you may go, yay, that's what I believe as well, but here goes. So it's a series of several stories that I've had with my children, my grandchildren, and it was interesting the different perspective that a child will have on a subject. So it starts out with my oldest daughter, and she's 35 years ago, so she was around 4, actually less than 35 years old. She's not that old yet. But anyway, so less than 35 years ago. So we're sitting in a restaurant, and she says, the waiter comes up and takes her order, and then he leaves, and he has a ponytail. Okay, you have to understand this was over 35 years ago. And she says, very loud, she had one of those voices that says, hey, Mom, that boy has a ponytail. And I said, yeah, it's okay. She goes, no, only girls have ponytails. I said, no, if a boy has long hair and he's working in a restaurant, he may pull it back. He's supposed to pull it back, and he has a ponytail. No, Mom, only girls have ponytails. So that was kind of like, she wouldn't believe me. She didn't believe me. So fast forward a few years to the next daughter. So we're out and about, someplace, and she sees a young man with 2 earrings. Mom, that boy's got 2 earrings. Yeah, he does. Only girls have 2 earrings. No, sometimes boys might, want to pierce. Nuh-uh. Only girls have 2 earrings. She wouldn't believe me that, that boys could have 2 earrings. So she had set a standard, that kids had set a standard, but in their mind, they had set a standard, or they had made something awareness, and they wouldn't believe, they wouldn't believe the adult. Okay, this kind of takes a little different turn. So fast forward several years, grandchild, 4 or 5 years old, we're sitting outside of school waiting for his brother to get out, and we're making up stories as the different people come in and out of the school. And we're just, waiting for the grandson. And one of the stories was that, I saw a young girl go in. And I said, oh, I bet that she is going into the school. She probably helps with the after-school program. And he says, Nana, that's not a girl. That's a boy. And I said, pretty sure it was a girl, buddy. Body figure, I could tell he wasn't looking that. And he said, no, it's a boy. And I went, no, it was a girl. And I said, what makes you think that it was a boy? He said, well, 4 years old, boys have flat hair and girls have fluffy hair. I said, but what if it's the end of the day and she started out with fluffy hair and now it's flat? No, Nana. He said, girls have fluffy hair. Okay, so he was putting a standard on this person. But given he was 4 years old, they're starting to set things in motion and just, trying to figure it out. Jump back to whenever I was about 5, and I was on a skating rink. And they had boy skates sometimes, and they had girl skates. So as I'm skating, somebody comes up and taps me on the shoulder, and I'm thinking, oh yeah, hey. And then he says, it's only girls skate. You need to leave the floor. I went, only girls skate? That means he thinks I'm a boy. Oh, I was devastated. So, he, many years ago, had set a standard on what a boy looked like and what a girl looked like. I did have short hair at the time, and so I could kind of see it. Didn't devastate me for life, but it's kind of put me on that little awareness path. Okay, so let's go on to the same grandson, and we're in a grocery store. He's in the cart, we're going around and around. He goes, Nana, I know how you tell big people boys from big people girls. I said, okay. So I've never had this much discussion. And why are the kids having to have this much discussion to let us know? Makes you wonder. But anyway, he says, big people boys have hair on their face. And big people girls, they don't. I said, okay. So I didn't bother to go into more of a discussion on that one. But I thought that was an interesting explanation. He just jumped out of the blue to give me. So then we're another grandchildren. So it's interesting that these kids seem to need to have a discussion about a boy or a girl and what their awareness is. And so obviously at 3, 4, 5, they're all becoming in awareness. They're becoming aware of their surroundings, aware of the external surroundings other than just what's in their home. Isn't that interesting that, I just felt like interesting that they continue to keep having these discussions with me. So then the other daughter, she has 2 children, and we're walking around the block. I'm at their house, and we're walking around the block. And as we're walking, we're getting close to this person mowing the grass. And I said, if he is still mowing the grass when we get close, we will need to move on the other side of the street. The little girl goes, she's 4, and says, Nana, that's a girl. That's a lady. I said, no, it's not. I'm pretty sure it's a guy. It's a boy. And then the grandson says, no, it's a boy. So as we're getting closer, she says girl, he says boy, she says girl, he says boy, and we're getting closer, and all of a sudden the person turns around and looks at us, smiles, and they both go, boy, boy. Yep, boy. And we just proceeded on because what happened? We turned around and the person had a full beard, full black beard. So, it goes with my other grandson discussion. But they were becoming into awareness that you couldn't tell by the person's body type as we were getting close to them. So all this comes down to drag shows. Yep, drag shows. That's where my thought process has been going. Okay, you take your 4-year-old, your 5-year-old, your 6-year-old, whatever. You take them, a person would take them to a library, drag show reading, a school, drag show reading, or whatever. What are they seeing? They're seeing a man, a boy, and these are young, impressionable kids still trying to figure it out, dressed as a woman. Now, given accentuated woman, lots of clothes, whatever going on, the makeup's all made up and the hair is everywhere. But it comes down to these are men dressed as women. So who's the most enduring person that a child would maybe need love and care and nurture? It's a woman. Yeah, I know the man, you're gonna say the same thing too, but who do they come to for the most part? Children. I know there's men that was the woman, raised the child. My grandpa, my dad, same thing. But anyway, it's the woman. So they see this woman, as it appears, dressed up like they're going out for a party or whatever, and but not realizing it is a man. It is a man in woman's clothing. It is a wolf in sheep clothing. Oh, come on. It's a man. We can all agree to that. There's a man under all this. Yeah, drag. So why are we exposing our young, impressionable children to this that are still trying to figure things out as they go, and they make it up in their mind? They do. And a lot of times you can't convince them that something's a different way. They've already made it up in their mind. And they'll argue with you till the cows come home, as they say. But it's still a man in women's clothing. And so how do you explain that? A different perspective. So you got these kids that are growing up, and then all of a sudden they kind of figured it out. They're 9, they're 10, they're 11. And what happens? Puberty hits. The hormones are racing. And now they may be a little confused. Am I this? Am I that? What is the world trying to say to me? Don't want to offend anybody. No. But I know there's some people that say, if they were gay or whatever, they've known since they were a child. That's fine. That's fine. But if you are an individual, an adult that's responsible for children, and you're pushing them this certain way because, like myself, I looked like a boy when I was younger. My grandson was insistent that I know was a woman, young girl was a boy. What would happen if I had somebody pushing me in that direction because I look that way? What happens when you bring your baby child home? You dress it in pink or whatever, in more of a girl, and you dress them in blues because you want to take them out and you want people to say, oh, what a beautiful little girl. Oh, what a beautiful little boy. And what happens? They're wearing pink. Person comes up and says, oh, what a beautiful little boy. Oh, and you think, I had the pink. Did anybody get it? So it's just a matter of what are we doing to our children? That's what it comes down to. If I really feel, and as a nurse, if my child says, I want to be a boy, what's their age? And I am a firm believer on not until they're of their own age. There is many, nobody wants to look for those many stories out there about the young boy who was castrated and all the things he had to do because he transitioned to a female. Maybe I'll come back sometime and tell you what actually goes through when they do a surgery to transition somebody. Or a young girl that had her breast cut off and hormones and then transition before the age of puberty. They are stuck. They can't go back on those hormones. They are messed up for life. So who are we serving if we allow our children to make that decision and proceed with something like that before they're of their own accord? 16, 17, 18. I would even think, a child of 16 still doing a lot of transitioning, especially if it's a boy, because, that full maturity, as we know, doesn't happen until like maybe 24 or something like that. For a young girl, 16 to 18, her full transition as far as hormones go. And then let's talk about hormones in our foods. Do you know that plastics are an estrogen mimicker? So it's a hormone disruptor. You know that having excess fat on our body is an estrogen. And so what do you think the men develop what they call man boobs? Because of the excess estrogen the fat is producing. So much comes with that, and then the foods we're eating. I would think they would never let a young person or even a young adult make those decisions until they have detoxed their body, cleaned up their body. But nobody wants to know. All that stuff could be contributing factors. So, and if you are a person is allowing a young child to go through that process, who are they serving? That would be the number one thing. Who are they serving? Are they serving themselves? We call that Munchausen by proxy, because you're serving yourself and you're putting the will on the child or somebody else. Munchausen by proxy. So Munchausen maybe is like the hypochondriac, if it's just to ourself, causing harm to ourself, to seek the health care and the advice and the approval from other people. But if we're doing it to somebody else by proxy, then we're trying to serve ourselves, but we're actually harming someone else. So the purpose of coming on here was to say, I've had these various discussions through my kids through life. They were all confused, but had it in their mind what they felt like was the right thing and how they understood it, but it was wrong. And so they need to get through those impressionable phases, but they don't need to have that stuff in their face that their young bodies aren't equipped to handle. A guy dressed in girl's clothes or makeup. How does a young brain that's trying to figure out why it's sunshine or why it's night or, just basic stuff, to be exposed to something like that there's going to be confusion as they get older. And, confusion creates chaos in the brain and then creates, just basically it can create depression as the person is going on because they can't figure it out. My grandson, that's the oldest one, he still comes up with stuff. And I try to explain to him, no, that's not how it is. And, he can look at we help look at literature and stuff to kind of get him on that path. But he gets in his brain, things are a certain way. That's how they got. That's why they're there, and everybody wants to understand. So that's all I got to say. If you're offended, that's just the way it is. If not, give me a thumbs up, a thumbs down, whatever you want to do. And I appreciate a comment. It doesn't offend me. I'm not offended easily. So you have an awesome day. Goodbye.